I was just a single dad opening my door for one night, never knowing the woman trembling in the rain carried secrets tied to my past, my pain, and my daughter's smile. If you like this video, then press like button, and if you're interested in 4 more videos, then press subscribe of Broken Promise Official Stories button. Don't skip video, watch till end, thanks. The house was too quiet again. Not the peaceful kind of quiet, this was the kind that pressed against your chest, reminding you of everything you'd lost. The clock on the wall ticked louder than it should have, each second echoing through rooms that once held laughter. Mia's soft breathing drifted from her bedroom, steady and innocent, the only sound that still mattered to me. I stood at the kitchen sink, staring at my reflection in the dark window. A man in his early 30s with tired eyes and a life he hadn't planned. 3 years since my wife died. 3 years of learning how to smile without feeling it. I worked, cooked, cleaned, and survived, for Mia. Everything else inside me stayed locked, sealed behind routines and silence. I had learned how not to feel. That's when the knock came. Not gentle. Not polite. 3 sharp knocks that cut through the night like a warning. My body stiffened. No one came this late. No one ever came anymore. I glanced toward Mia's room first, always her, then moved slowly toward the door, every instinct telling me something was wrong. When I opened it, the rain rushed in before she did. She stood there trembling, soaked from head to toe, hair clinging to her face, rainwater dripping from her lashes like tears she hadn't allowed herself to cry. Her clothes were darkened by the storm, her hand shaking as if she'd run miles just to reach this door. She didn't look dangerous. She looked broken. "My name is Luna," she said softly, her voice almost lost beneath the rain. I just need one night." I didn't answer. I noticed the small details instead, the way her eyes kept darting behind her, the way her shoulders were pulled inward like she was trying to disappear. There was fear in her expression, but also something else. Exhaustion. The kind that comes from carrying too much for too long. Every rule I'd built for myself screamed no. I was a single father. A man with responsibilities. A man who had learned the hard way that opening your door, your heart, could destroy you. I should have closed it. Should have apologized. Should have protected my quiet. But then I heard it. A soft sound behind me. A floorboard creaking. "Daddy." Mia's sleepy voice wrapped around my heart before I could stop it. I turned to see her standing at the end of the hallway, small and fragile in her oversized pajamas, rubbing her eyes. She looked past me, curious, and her gaze landed on Luna. "Why is it raining inside?" she asked. Luna froze. Something in her expression cracked at the sight of my daughter. Her lips trembled, and for a moment, I thought she might collapse right there on my doorstep. Mia stepped closer, holding my hand. "Is she okay?" I remembered another voice then. A memory I tried not to touch. "Daddy, why don't you help people anymore?" My chest tightened. I stepped aside. "Come in," I said quietly. Luna hesitated, like she didn't trust the permission, like doors had closed on her too many times before. Then she crossed the threshold, and the rain stayed outside, but fate didn't. I handed her a towel. Our fingers brushed for half a second, and she flinched like she'd been burned. I pretended not to notice. Some wounds don't want attention. "Thank you," she whispered, wrapping the towel around herself like armor. Mia stared at her openly. "You're pretty," she said with the honesty only children have. "But sad." Luna smiled, but her eyes filled. "That's very accurate." I led them both into the living room. The lamp cast a warm glow that softened the sharp edges of the night. Luna sat on the couch carefully, like she was afraid of leaving a mark. I told Mia to go back to bed, promising I'd check on her soon. "Don't forget," Mia said, yawning. "She needs a blanket." I nodded. When Mia disappeared down the hall, the silence returned, but it felt different now. Charged. Heavy with 2 strangers sharing the same space. I brought Luna a blanket and a cup of tea. She held the mug with both hands, letting the warmth seep into her fingers. I noticed a faint bruise near her wrist, quickly hidden beneath the sleeve of the towel. She caught me looking and pulled her arm back. "I won't ask," I said. Her shoulders relaxed just a little. The rain continued to fall outside, tapping against the windows like restless thoughts. We sat on opposite ends of the room, distance filled with unspoken questions. I wanted to know who she was running from. Why she had chosen my door. Why her presence felt like a crack in a wall I'd spent years building. But I didn't ask. Some stories reveal themselves only when they're ready. "You can sleep on the couch," I said. "I'll be in the other room." She nodded. "I won't cause trouble." I almost laughed at that. Trouble had a way of finding you, whether you invited it or not. As I turned away, she spoke again. "Ethan, thank you. Most people wouldn't have opened the door." I stopped. No one had said my name like that in a long time. Softly. Like it still belonged to something human. I didn't turn back. That night, I lay awake listening to the storm, to the unfamiliar rhythm of another person breathing in my home. I told myself it was just one night. Just a stranger. Just kindness. But somewhere between the rain and the quiet, I felt it, the lock around my heart loosening. And I didn't know yet that by morning, everything I thought was buried would begin to surface. Morning didn't arrive gently. It crept in through the cracks of the curtains, pale and hesitant, like it wasn't sure it was welcome in a house that had learned how to survive in shadows. I opened my eyes before the alarm, heart already heavy with awareness there was someone else here. For a moment, panic flashed through me. Instinct. Protection. Then I remembered the rain. The door. Her name. Luna. I lay still, listening. The house breathed differently now. The silence wasn't empty, it was occupied. That realization unsettled me more than I wanted to admit. I moved quietly down the hallway, pausing outside the living room. She was still asleep on the couch, wrapped tightly in the blanket Mia had insisted on. Her hair had dried into soft waves across the pillow, one hand curled near her face like she was holding onto something invisible. She looked younger like this. Less guarded. Less broken. I shouldn't have stood there watching. It felt like crossing a line I'd drawn years ago. But something about the way she slept, alert even in rest, told me this was a woman who never truly felt safe. I turned toward the kitchen before guilt could speak louder. The sound of small footsteps made me smile despite myself. Mia appeared, clutching her stuffed rabbit, eyes already searching past me. "She's still here," she whispered. "Yes," I said softly. "She's sleeping." Mia grinned, relief blooming on her face. "Good." She looked tired. Children notice things adults pretend not to see. I started breakfast, pancakes, the way Mia liked them, even though I rarely made them anymore. The smell filled the kitchen, warm and familiar, and for a fleeting second, I remembered another morning. Another woman. Another life. I shook the thought away. When Luna appeared in the doorway, freshly awake, she froze like she'd stepped into a memory that wasn't hers. She wore the same clothes from the night before, hair loosely tied back, eyes cautious but softer. "I can leave," she said immediately. "I didn't mean to." "You didn't," I interrupted. "Stay. We're having breakfast." Her gaze flicked to Mia, who waved enthusiastically. "You're still sad," Mia said, completely unfiltered. "But you look less scared today." Luna laughed quietly, surprised. "I guess that's an improvement." She sat at the table, careful again, like she didn't want to take up space. I watched her hands as she poured syrup, steady now, but with faint tremors she probably thought no one noticed. We ate together. Not talking much. But it wasn't awkward. It was gentle. Like a scene paused between chapters. At one point, Luna's eyes drifted to the wall behind me. The photographs. I felt it before she spoke, the shift in the air, the way her breath caught. That's her voice faltered. I turned. My wife smiled back at us from the frame, frozen in a moment that would never return. My chest tightened, the familiar ache pressing forward like it always did when someone else noticed her. That was my wife, I said. Mia's mother. Luna's face drained of color. I noticed it instantly. Not grief. Not sympathy. Recognition. You knew her, I said slowly. Luna swallowed. I think so. Silence crashed down between us, heavier than the night before. Mia looked between us, sensing something wrong. I'll go play, she said softly, retreating with her rabbit. As soon as she disappeared, Luna stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't mean to stay this long. I should go. Why? The word slipped out sharper than intended. She hesitated. Because I don't belong here. That hurt more than it should have. Rain began again outside, lighter this time, like a reminder. Luna reached for her bag, fingers trembling once more. Last night, she said quietly, you saved me. But staying longer, that's dangerous. For you. For her. For you, I added. She looked at me then, really looked at me, and something unspoken passed between us. Fear. Gratitude. A pull neither of us were ready to name. Some doors, she whispered, should only be opened once. She stepped toward the exit. I didn't stop her. Not yet. But as she reached for the handle, a piece of paper slipped from her bag and fluttered to the floor. A folded document. Official. Stamped. My eyes caught one word before she snatched it back. A name. The same name I hadn't heard since the night my wife died. Luna froze. So did I. And in that fragile moment, standing between morning light and unfinished truth, I realized this wasn't just a stranger's story crossing mine. It was a collision. And nothing about my life would remain untouched. The paper didn't make a sound when it fell. But the name printed on it screamed inside my head. For a moment, neither of us moved. Luna's fingers tightened around the document she had grabbed back too quickly, her breath shallow, eyes fixed on the floor like she was hoping it might open and swallow her whole. I felt the old ache rise, slow, deliberate, merciless. That name, I said carefully. Why do you have it? She didn't answer. Outside, the rain picked up again, tapping against the glass in an uneven rhythm, like a heartbeat that couldn't decide whether to race or stop. I took a step closer. Not threatening. Not gentle. Just inevitable. Luna, I said. You recognized my wife's face. And now this. She closed her eyes, as if bracing for impact. I never wanted you to find out like this. Find out what? My chest tightened. For 3 years, I'd lived with questions no one could answer. Police reports that contradicted themselves. Witnesses who disappeared. A death ruled accidental that never felt like one. And now a woman who knocked on my door in the rain was holding the same ghost I'd buried every night. Sit down, I said. She hesitated, then obeyed, lowering herself onto the couch like the weight of everything she carried had finally become too heavy to stand with. I stayed where I was, arms crossed, not to protect myself, but because if I moved closer, I wasn't sure what would break first. She worked with me, Luna said finally. Your wife. The words landed softly. Too softly. She trusted me, she continued. We weren't close friends. But we talked. About fear. About men who smile while destroying lives. My stomach turned. She was scared, Luna whispered. And she was right to be. I remembered my wife standing in this very kitchen, hands wrapped around a mug she didn't drink from, staring out the window like she expected something terrible to arrive. I'd asked her what was wrong. She'd said, nothing. Just tired. I hadn't pushed. That regret never slept. What does this have to do with you being hunted? I asked. Luna lifted the document slightly, not enough for me to read it fully. Because I didn't stay quiet. The room felt smaller suddenly. I saw things, she said. Heard things. Contract signed in bloodless rooms. Threats disguised as favors. Your wife tried to leave. She wanted to protect her family. My breath caught. And you? I asked. I ran, she said, shame-lacing every syllable. She didn't get the chance. The distance between us was no longer measured in steps, it was measured in truths. Mia's laughter floated in from her room then, muffled but real. A sound so pure it almost hurt. Luna flinched at it, tears brimming in her eyes. She deserves a safe world, Luna said. That's why I can't stay. I walked to the window, stared out at the grey morning. Cars passed like nothing was wrong. Like the world hadn't just tilted on its axis. You came to my door anyway, I said. Why? She stood, slowly this time. Because I was out of places to run. And because some part of me hoped you'd be different. I turned back to her. So did I. Silence stretched between us, thick with things unsaid. I noticed how her hands twisted together, how her shoulders remained tense, always ready to flee. This wasn't a woman looking for shelter anymore. This was a woman carrying a war inside her. You should go, I said at last. Relief flickered across her face, quick and guilty. But not alone, I added. Her eyes snapped up. What? I'll take you somewhere safe, I said. Someone I trust. That was a lie. I didn't trust anyone. But I couldn't send her back into the storm. Not with Mia watching. Not with my past staring back at me through her eyes. We packed quickly. Quietly. Mia hugged Luna tightly before we left, like children do when they sense endings before adults admit them. Don't be sad anymore, Mia told her. Luna knelt, brushing hair from Mia's face. I'll try, she whispered. For you. As we stepped outside, the air felt wrong, too still. My instincts prickled, sharp and sudden. A black car idled across the street. Luna saw it too. Her hand slipped into mine without thinking. They found me, she breathed. The engine revved. In that moment, standing between my daughter's doorway and a woman carrying my wife's last secret, I understood something with terrifying clarity. Opening my door hadn't just changed my life. It had put us all in danger. And whoever was watching us now wasn't going to knock first. The black car didn't move. That was the most terrifying part. It sat there across the street like a patient predator, engine humming softly, as if it already knew we would panic for it. Luna's fingers tightened around mine, her pulse frantic against my skin. I felt it, fear passing from her body into mine, electric and contagious. Don't look at them, I whispered. Act normal. Normal. I hadn't known what that meant for years. I guided Luna back inside, locking the door without slamming it. The click echoed too loudly. Mia stood in the hallway, clutching her rabbit, eyes wide. Daddy, she asked. I knelt in front of her, forcing calm into my voice. Sweetheart, go to your room and lock the door. No matter what you hear, okay? She nodded, trusting me the way children trust gravity. That trust crushed my chest. When her door closed, Luna spoke, her voice shaking. They won't stop. Not now. I knew she was right. Whoever was out there had waited. Watched. They didn't rush. Men like that never did. I grabbed my phone and checked it instinctively, no signal. Or maybe I just imagined the dead air. Either way, isolation settled in fast. Tell me everything, I said. No more fragments. Luna leaned against the wall, sliding down until she was sitting on the floor, arms wrapped around herself like she was trying to hold the pieces together. He owns companies, she said. Charities. Politicians. Police pensions. People disappear quietly when they get in his way. Your wife was documenting it. She believed if the truth came out, it would end him. My throat tightened. She trusted the wrong channel, Luna continued. I warned her. She told me, Luna's voice broke. She told me if anything happened, to protect the evidence. I stared at the wall where my wife's photo hung. Her smile felt cruel now, frozen in innocence while the world had already decided her fate. And the document? I asked. Luna pulled it from her bag slowly, like it could explode. It's not everything. But it connects names. Accounts. The night she died. The night my world collapsed. A sound outside cut us both off, car doors opening. My heart slammed against my ribs. They're coming, Luna whispered. I didn't think. I moved. I grabbed the keys, motioned her toward the back of the house. There's an alley behind the fence. We'll take my car through the garage. And Mia, she asked. I won't leave her, I said. Ever. We moved fast but quietly, the house suddenly unfamiliar, like it knew it was being hunted. The sound of footsteps hit the front porch just as I opened Mia's door. She looked up at me, scared but brave. It's okay, I told her, lifting her into my arms. Daddy's here. A knock came, slow, deliberate. Not desperate. Certain. Police, a voice called. Luna's breath caught. That's not real. I believed her without hesitation. The knock came again, louder. I moved through the garage, hands shaking as I strapped Mia into the back seat. Luna climbed in beside her, pulling her close instinctively, like protection was already carved into her bones. The garage door groaned open. The black car rolled forward. I reversed hard, tires screaming against concrete, heart pounding so loud I could barely hear the rain beginning again. The street blurred as I sped away, the mirror showing headlights following too closely. Mia cried softly in the back. Luna reached for her, whispering reassurances I wasn't sure she believed herself. They know you now, Luna said quietly, leaning forward. You shouldn't have helped me. I glanced at her through the mirror. Don't. No, she insisted. You had a life. A daughter. I dragged my storm into your house. I swallowed hard. You didn't drag anything. I opened the door. That truth settled between us. We drove until the city thinned, rain smearing the lights into long, bleeding streaks. Every turn felt watched. Every shadow held breath. Finally, I pulled into an old storage lot I used once after my wife's death, empty, forgotten, quiet. I killed the engine. For a moment, none of us moved. The silence returned, but this time, it wasn't safe. I can't stay with you, Luna said suddenly. They'll use you. Use her. I turned to her, anger flaring through fear. You think I'll forgive myself if you leave and something happens? Her eyes filled. I already ruined your life once. I won't do it again. She reached for the door. I caught her wrist. The contact was electric, fear, grief, and something dangerously close to tenderness colliding all at once. You didn't ruin me, I said quietly. You reminded me I was alive. The word surprised us both. For a second, the world narrowed to that touch, that confession hanging fragile between us. The rain drummed harder against the roof, sealing the moment. Then Luna leaned forward and rested her forehead against mine, not a kiss, not quite. Just closeness. Permission. If we survive this, she whispered, everything changes. Headlights flared at the far end of the lot. Too close. I released her hand, heart pounding. Get down, I said. And as darkness swallowed the car, I understood with brutal clarity. This wasn't just about the past anymore. It was about who we were willing to become. To protect the people we loved. We stayed down until the headlights disappeared. Seconds stretched into minutes, minutes into something heavier, waiting shaped like fear. Mia's breathing evened out beside Luna, exhaustion finally claiming her small body. Luna's arm was wrapped protectively around her, instinctive and gentle, as if she'd done this before. As if danger had taught her how to hold someone else steady while she shook inside. I watched them from the front seat, chest tight. This wasn't how love was supposed to begin. It wasn't even supposed to exist here, between threats and engines in the dark. And yet, something fragile had taken root anyway, stubborn and real. When the night settled back into silence, I turned the key just enough to warm the car. The dashboard light washed over Luna's face, softening the fear lines, revealing exhaustion instead. She looked older like this. And younger. Like someone who had lived too much life too quickly. "You should sleep," I whispered. She shook her head. "If I sleep, I dream." I understood that too well. I drove us to the old lake on the edge of town, abandoned docks, no lights, only moon and water. It was where I'd gone after the funeral, when the house felt unbearable. Grief had taught me this place. I carried Mia to the back seat, covering her with my jacket. Luna followed silently, I scanning the darkness even here. "You come here often?" she asked. "I used to," I said. "When I needed to remember how to breathe." We sat on the hood of the car, far enough apart to respect the danger between us, close enough to feel it anyway. The lake reflected the moon in broken silver lines, restless and quiet at the same time. "I keep thinking," Luna said softly, "that if I hadn't stayed silent, maybe she'd still be alive." The words hit like a blade I'd been sharpening for years. "If I had listened more," I said, "maybe I would have known she was afraid." We didn't look at each other then. Some grief demands space. The wind picked up, cold, carrying the scent of rain and water. Luna hugged herself, and without thinking, I draped my jacket around her shoulders. She stilled, surprised, then slowly relaxed into the warmth. "Ethan," she said quietly, "I don't deserve your kindness." I exhaled. Neither did I, once. That earned a small, sad smile. For a moment, the world felt distant, no cars, no footsteps, no voices pretending to be authority. Just two broken adults standing at the edge of something they didn't know how to name. She turned toward me then. Not dramatically. Carefully. Her eyes searched my face, like she was memorizing it in case she never saw it again. "If they take me," she said, "promise me something." My jaw tightened. "Don't." "Promise," she insisted. "Protect her. Tell her the truth when she's old enough." I nodded, because some promises don't give you a choice. "And you?" I asked. "What happens to you if you disappear?" She hesitated. "Maybe that's all I'm meant for. To make sure this ends." The anger flared before I could stop it. "You're not a sacrifice. You're a person." Her breath caught. For the first time since she arrived at my door, Luna looked at me like someone was choosing her, not out of obligation, but want. The distance between us closed, slowly, dangerously. I could feel her warmth, her breath uneven, the unspoken pull tightening like a thread drawn too far. She reached out, paused, then rested her hand lightly against my chest. My heart betrayed me immediately. "This," she whispered, "is the part that scares me most." I covered her hand with mine. Not a promise. Not a claim. Just grounding. Just now. "We don't have to decide anything tonight," I said. "We just have to survive it." Her forehead rested briefly against my shoulder. It wasn't a kiss. It was something more careful. Something earned. Behind us, Mia shifted in her sleep and murmured my name. Reality returned with teeth. We pulled apart, breathless for different reasons. "I should go," Luna said, voice thick. "Before daylight." I nodded, even though every instinct screamed against it. We packed in silence. The sky was already lightening at the edges, dawn threatening to reveal us. I drove her toward the city again, the road empty, the moment fragile. At the corner where she would leave, she stopped me with a hand on my arm. "If this ends," she said, "remember me like this." "Not afraid." I swallowed hard. "Come back alive," I said. "That's the only version I'll accept." She smiled, real this time, and stepped out of the car. As she disappeared into the early light, my phone buzzed for the first time all night. One message. Unknown number. She won't make it to morning. My hand shook. And I knew, without a doubt. The night wasn't over yet. I woke before the sun fully rose. The city was quiet, but the tension from last night lingered like smoke in my lungs. Every instinct was alert. Every sound, a distant car, a bird, even the hum of electricity, made me jump. Luna wasn't in the apartment. She hadn't returned. The black car from before was gone, but I didn't relax. I could feel the danger tightening its grip, and for the first time, I realized that opening my door for her wasn't just kindness. It was war. Mia stirred in her bed, rubbing her eyes, still innocent in a world that had already learned cruelty. I sat beside her, brushing her hair back. She asked me quietly, "Daddy, is she gone?" I forced a smile. "Not gone, sweetie. Just being safe." Her small hand clutched mine, and I wished I could shield her from everything, from the storm outside and the storm within my own heart. Then the knock came. Not the soft, desperate one from the first night. This knock was deliberate. Heavy. I froze, heart hammering, before moving toward the door. I opened it cautiously, expecting strangers, police, anyone, but it wasn't anyone. It was Luna. She looked exhausted, drenched again, but different. There was a fire in her eyes, determination layered with relief. "I did it," she whispered. "It's over." My chest tightened. "What do you mean?" "The evidence, your wife's work, it's all in safe hands. The man who ruined everything is exposed. Gone." Her voice was soft, yet firm. She took a shaky breath. "We survived him." I couldn't speak. Relief and disbelief collided inside me, a chaotic storm that left me silent. Then I noticed the small envelope in her hand. She handed it to me. My name was scrawled on it, in handwriting I recognized instantly. I opened it slowly. Inside was a letter. Not just any letter, it was from my wife. "Ethan. If you're reading this, I hope you're still standing. I know I left you too soon, but I had to protect Mia. And I had to hope that someone kind enough to open a door in a storm would take care of the rest. Trust Luna. She's the only one who can carry the truth safely now. I love you, always. Amelia." I blinked. My hand shook. The room felt too small. Too real. Too cruelly beautiful. Luna watched me, silent, and I realized something. She had carried this secret, risked everything, for me and for Mia. And through it all, she hadn't asked for a thing. "Mia is safe," I said finally, voice cracking. "You saved her. You saved us." She looked away for a moment, and I thought I saw vulnerability. Then she met my gaze. "I stayed," she whispered, "because you opened your door. That one night. I had to believe there was still good in the world." The words hit me harder than the storm ever did. I wanted to reach for her, to pull her into my arms, but fear, caution, and the weight of everything kept me still. Yet the pull, the magnetic thread between us, was undeniable. I stepped closer. She didn't retreat. "You shouldn't have," I said softly, shaking my head. "I shouldn't. I wasn't ready for this." Her lips quirked into a faint, tired smile. Neither was I. But some things don't wait for readiness. The air shifted. Tension melted into fragile intimacy. Not romance yet. Not promises. Just recognition. Connection. Two wounded souls who had survived chaos together, finding warmth in shared danger. I reached out. My hand brushed hers, slowly, reverently. She didn't pull away. The sound of Mia's laughter echoed down the hallway as she appeared in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. "Daddy? Luna? Are you two awake?" I smiled at her, my heart swelling in a way it hadn't in years. Luna crouched down to Mia's level, smiling softly. "Morning, Mia." My daughter's eyes sparkled. "You stayed. You're safe." For a moment, the weight of the past, the danger, and the fear evaporated. For a moment, the world felt quiet again, the way it had before loss, before secrets, before storms. I took a deep breath, glancing at Luna. "Stay," I said simply. Not a question. A plea. A command wrapped in hope. Her eyes widened slightly, then softened. She nodded. And as the sun finally rose, spilling gold across the apartment, I realized something terrifying and beautiful. The one night I opened my door had changed everything. Not just for me. Not just for Mia. But for us. Luna smiled at me then, truly smiled, a spark of something unspoken passing between us. And I understood. Some doors, once opened, cannot be closed again. The past had finally released us. But the future was ours to write. And for the first time in years, I felt ready.